Right, welcome ladies and gents. Neil Gaiman has responded to the accusations and allegations levelled against him. So for those that don't know, I did a video yesterday which covered Neil Gaiman's, accusations of pretty grotesque stuff. It is important to note that in that video, in the allegations, the women involved chose to stay with him. And keep working with him up until a point, some for quite a long time actually. But there does appear to be a pattern of behaviour. The pattern of behaviour being Neil Gaiman effectively, using his sort of standing in society to coerce women potentially, or I don't know how to say it, but it's effectively an element of power play. I mean, he literally indulges in power play. He gets people to call him master and do horrendous things to them. But the women did stay, which is obviously a massive red stain against them with their allegations and accusations. But then there's more. You also then don't agree to pay one woman $300,000. Another woman $60,000, another woman $10,000. So much money was paid out to these women, and NDAs were signed. It doesn't seem like he's squeaky clean either. So, yeah, I don't know quite where I sit on this. It's a difficult one, and I don't want to necessarily victim shame or any of those kind of things. But at the end of the day, there are certain things which these women allege. One of them alleges the first time she met Neil Gaiman, he offered to draw her a bath, run her a bath in the garden. What? You'd be like, no mate, that's weird. Anyway, she did get in that bath and he then got in with her. At that point you'd be like, this is fucking batshit crazy, and get out, wouldn't you? But anyway, whatever, I digress. We're going to take a look at his response. His response actually doesn't deny anything specifically. So it's a bit sus. The whole thing's sus. It's all over the place. But hit subscribe if you're new here. And do hit subscribe if you're a returning viewer that is not yet subscribed. Thank you to everyone who has done that. It means the world to me. It would be amazing if we could hit 500,000 subscribers this year. That would be absolutely incredible. And there's a lot of you guys that keep watching the channel that are not subscribed. So if you could help me achieve that, that would be amazing. But let's take a look at this. Breaking the Silence. This is on his personal blog. It's an interesting one. So this was posted yesterday. And basically says, look, over the past many months, I have watched the stories circulating the internet about me with horror and dismay. I've stayed quiet until now, both out of respect for the people who were sharing their stories and out of a desire not to draw even more attention to a lot of misinformation. That doesn't make sense, Neil. If someone's lying about you, you don't respect them telling their stories. You imbecile. It is actually as simple as that. If someone is lying, right, which you kind of allude to, why do you respect them? Doesn't really make any sense, does it? It's a bit odd, isn't it? Oh, well, they're sharing their stories, but, I respect them for that. But they're lying, aren't they? What? Anyway, whatever. That's the first red flag to me, anyway. I just think it's weird. And again, he literally says it's misinformation. It's like, okay, well, so then why stay? I don't know. Whatever. I've always tried to be a private person and felt increasingly that social media was the wrong place to talk about important personal matters. It absolutely is. I've now reached the point where I feel that I should say something. So say is this. As I read through this latest collection of accounts, there are moments I half recognise and moments I don't. Descriptions of things that happened sitting beside things that emphatically did not happen. I'm far from a perfect person, but I have never engaged in non-consensual sexual activity with anyone ever. But remember, he stayed quiet out of respect for people sharing their stories. It doesn't make sense. I went back to read the messages I exchanged with the women around and following the occasions that have subsequently been reported as being abusive. These messages read now as they did when I received them, of two people enjoying entirely consensual sexual relationships and wanting to see one another again. At the time I was in those relationships, they seemed positive and happy on both sides. Then why, in a recorded phone call, did you agree to pay someone $60,000 to help? What is the direct quote? Something along the lines of to like help the damage that's been caused or something like that. Happy, positive. What damage is caused in a happy and positive environment, mate? What are you talking about? Remember, he's a male feminist. I'm just going to go out on a line and say it. Of course, male feminists are bizarre and weird, and they normally have a skeleton in their closet. So, you know, whatever. And I also realised, looking through them years later, that I could have and should have done so much better. I was emotionally unavailable while being sexually available. Self-focused and not as thoughtful as I could or should have been. I was obviously careless with people's hearts and feelings. Apparently you made someone suck your bits which were covered in butter and shit. I mean, mate. Alright, and that's something that I really deeply regret. It was selfish of me. I was caught up in my own story and I ignored other people's. I spent months now taking a long, hard look at who I have been and how I have made people feel. Like most of us, I'm learning. This is like his redemption arc. And I'm trying to do the work needed. Fucking, I've heard this stuff before. And I know that that's not an overnight process. I hope that with the help of good people, I'll continue to grow. I understand that not everyone will believe me or even care what I say, but I'll be doing the work anyway for myself, my family, and the people I love. I'll be doing my very best to deserve their trust as well as the trust of my readers. But look, mate, again, why did you keep quiet out of respect for people's stories if they're spreading misinformation? Why? That doesn't make sense. At the same time, as I reflect on my past and as I re-review everything that actually happened as opposed to what is being alleged, I don't accept that there was any abuse. Buttery shit dick, maybe? To repeat, I've never engaged in a non-consensual sexual activity with anyone. Some of the horrible stories now being told simply never happened, but remember, he didn't say anything out of respect. While others have been so distorted from what actually took place that they bear no relationship to reality, but remember, you kept quiet out of respect. I'm prepared to take responsibility for any missteps I made. I'm not willing to turn my back on the truth, and I can't accept being described as someone I'm not, and cannot and will not admit to doing things I didn't do. Well, you haven't actually admitted to anything, you haven't refuted anything. You've been as vague as humanly possible, whilst also spinning some absolute yarn nonsense here by going, well, you know, I was out of respect and out of a desire not to draw attention to lies. Right, okay then. Whatever. Anyway, there you go. There's his response. It's inadequate, vague nonsense. And he's a male feminist, so that speaks volumes. Let me know what you think down below. Take care. Bye-bye now.